energies on supporting alternative media, even if we don't always agree with it. And if we do that effectively, we can make the alternative mainstream. The alternative has to be the mainstream, but we have to support it. And we must stop drinking from that poison well of mainstream politics and focus ahead on a positive future. We cannot give up. It could happen this year, or it could happen in 5 years, and I'm expecting great things from the future Labour Party, and I will join when I'm ready. We need a broad church and a range of socialist opinions to push positive, people-friendly policies forward that have emerged from the ground up, including people of all ages and all sectors of society. Most of the clever people, I think, are outside the party, and some are sitting right here. We can, working together, create a movement that shifts the narrative with intelligent, thoughtful interventions and proposals that support the concerns and ambitions of people who have been ignored by mainstream politics for far too long. We must focus our energies on fighting for the future and not against the present. We can bypass these politicians behind, just ignore them, stop moaning about them, just look forward. We're not for sale. We can offer the progressive ideas, and we can offer hope, and we can save our planet. We shouldn't feel politically homeless. There's a huge political family out there and here tonight offering refuge and hope. And as for me, I brought my own politics into the Labour Party 40 years ago, and when I resigned, I took my politics with me. I've never been for sale, and none of you are either, I'm sure. So we can't be captured by corporate hospitality, charm offences. People have tried that on me, they must be joking. Career incentives. Because our motivation is not our own betterment, it's the betterment of our communities and our friends and neighbours. So we must remain constant, trusted, informed, forward-thinking, and on the side of people against the inducements and sellouts of the corporate world. It isn't that hard. It makes us very strong, and we can definitely do it. So please don't despair. The future is ahead of us, and I do think that one day we'll be rejoining the Labour Party because it will be some vague representation of what it should have been. So thank you.
Keep moving. As you say, we're going to open up for discussion after the three speakers. Ed McNally next is Trade Union and Political Officer, and please introduce yourself more if you wish.
Thanks very much for having me, comrades. So I'm UCU's Political Officer, speaking in a personal capacity. Sadly, I am still a Labour member for now. So I think I wanted to start by saying that, sort of, as someone who's still in the Labour Party and committed to the Labour left, that I think one of the really unhelpful things in terms of the approach of the Labour left and kind of leading figures on the Labour left to comrades who've left the party is that people have often adopted quite kind of a condescending, hectoring tone, like telling people off for leaving, saying that they need to be sensible and stick it out. Jeremy Gilbert, for example, like an academic at some London university, likes to say to people that Labour isn't a football team where you can just pick which side you support. Labour's the pitch we all have to play on. And I think this kind of thing is really not helpful. And it's not a good way to approach comrades who are understandably disaffected and fed up. So I think, kind of as a starting point for these kind of discussions, for those of us who are still committed to the Labour Left project, is some kind of humility and just honesty about how difficult and bad the situation is. So leading on from that, I think the other thing to say is that, like, early on in Starmer's leadership, there were often debates on the left about whether people should stay and fight in the party, and I think that is also not really a helpful discussion to have now, not least because the fact that like 200,000 comrades have left the party, I think it's basically just a reflection of the fact that there isn't any longer any space or capacity to organise at the grassroots. Like Emma's experience is a good example of this. Comrades who've stuck it out in CLPs, hoping to win parliamentary selections, you eventually just run up against the brick wall of the kind of centralised control, Starmer's centralised control. For example, as far as I know, the only regional Labour Party board in the country that's controlled, even by a soft left alliance, is in the northwest, and that's taken a lot of work for people to continue to get elected, and even then they don't have any say in how the regional bureaucracy is run. I mean, another really telling example is like after the Stop the War letter debacle last year, Young Labour put out a very good statement on their Twitter account, basically holding the line. The result of which now is that they don't have control. The Young Labour National Committee, which has a left-wing majority, they don't have control of their own Twitter account. Like it's Labour staffers at party HQ who tweet things. So I mean, the lack of space is almost like a joke, really. And I think that basically leads to a situation where, and I've had this experience because I've worked for Labour left MPs and I'm still involved in Momentum, where I think basically the only people at the moment who still have agency on the Labour left are a tiny number of people in kind of high bureaucratic or elected positions, and even then, their room for manoeuvre is kind of like very circumscribed. Then just sort of turn into how bad things are for the left in the party. I think unprecedentedly so. I mean, it's sort of obvious, but I think it's important to appreciate just kind of how total the defeat is. Partly because this explains why the left MPs are so cowed. And I think sometimes we can risk slipping into moralising about it and being frustrated with the left MPs for capitulating. I think fundamentally the problem is that they just are devoid of power. And Andrew Murray, I think the situation they're in is that, by and large, they now aren't in a position where they can really fight in any significant way and remain Labour MPs. I mean, Andrew Murray put it quite well in a piece for Counterfire a few months ago. He said, left MPs face a choice of staying true to the left and risk ceasing to be MPs, or staying MPs at the price of abandoning the left. And I think that is sort of broadly true. I would say I think there